What's going on, guys? What's going on, Thai Squad? What's going on, everybody? So, the first round of the NFL draft, this NFL draft so far, has been surprising. It has been surprising. The NFL draft has been surprising. Like, Shedeur Sanders hasn't been picked up yet. We don't know if he's going to be undrafted or is he going to be picked. We basically don't know about that, but all the picks before him, like Travis Hunter to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who my Browns traded the pick to Jacksonville for Jacksonville to um um get Travis Hunter. The Browns did get Mason Graham and Clinton in the Ohio State running back and a bunch of other pieces. The Browns so far passed up on Shedeur Sanders twice. They took the quarterback from Oregon. This has been probably like not a decent draft because all the way up through to it was Shedeur and Cam Ward talked about, and like we all knew that Cam Ward was going to go number one to the Titans. We knew that in a heartbeat that Cam Ward was going to go number one. Let me just get that off and out. We knew in a heartbeat Kevin that Cam Ward was going to go number one. But this draft, like the Browns passing on Shedeur like twice. At this point, I'm going to say this. We've seen quarterbacks like Tom Brady be a 6th-round pick and go on to win 7 or 8 championships. We've seen Lamar Jackson at the end of the first round going to Baltimore. We've seen Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, who won a championship with the Eagles now. Who won a championship with the Eagles now. Be the 50 overall pick. We seen players in the NFL. We seen players go through the 6th round, and for the Shedeur Sanders, and I'm going to get back on topic here. For Shedeur Sanders, this probably reminds me of one draft particularly is when Draymond Green fell in the 2nd round. And it's just surprising to see Shedeur Sanders fall to the fourth round now. And it's the last day of the draft. Like, this draft has been probably surprising because we knew all the way talked up after the all the way talked up through the college season. It was going to be Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward going number one or number two. And then Travis Hunter somehow. Travis Hunter, we haven't seen a player like that since Deion Sanders. So the interesting about it is that Travis Hunter is probably going to play both ways for Jacksonville. Like, I can get into like what I think is going to happen is that Shedeur Sanders is definitely going to get on an NFL team. We're going to see that. And how much I like Shedeur Sanders' comments. Let me get the elephant out. I am going to be, however these NFL players that are coming into the draft, however their careers turned out, they're going to basically have a good career. Because if you ask me how, like, all the teams passed on Shedeur, we knew the first two picks off the board would be Travis Hunter and Cam Ward. And then Adu Carter. That is probably a good pick for the Giants there. Adu Carter is probably a good pick for the Giants there. Adu Carter is probably a good pick for the Giants there at 3 because now you're getting you're getting somebody from Penn State that can play good defense. And the Giants traded up to get Jackson Dirt. That was very interesting too. I would say if I had to rank the first round, and if I was a GM for probably like the Browns or any team, I wouldn't at this point pass up on a Shedeur Sanders. Like, the Browns just drafted a different quarterback over the Shedeur Sanders. And Gafford, which I think will be like the GTR for my Browns. But the Steelers has passed teams like the Steelers, the Raiders, the Browns, the Packers, like teams like that. They all had good draft picks, but those teams have passed on Shedeur Sanders as well. And let me get the elephant out. The Ohio State running back, that was a good move by my Browns because bringing somebody who has a championship, and Quinn, bringing somebody who has a championship in Clinton that won a championship in college with Ohio State is interesting, is very good to see. So I'm going to be very interested in if like the the NFL, how the draft turns out, because this is the final day of the draft. I am going to be very interested in seeing how the the draft turns out, because we're going to see Shedeur Sanders be on an NFL team. We're going to see Cam Ward probably have a good career, an amazing career with the Tennessee Titans. We're going to see probably Travis Hunter play both sides of the football. We're going to see a Duke Carter have like amazing career with the New York Giants. We're going to see Jackson Dirt probably be the third quarterback, because the Giants aren't going to start Jackson Dirt over, I don't think, Russell Wilson or Jameis. I think for the Giants, they're going to have to give Jackson Dirt more time. But the picks that my Browns made by getting a linebacker, getting the running back from Ohio State, and getting Mason Graham from Michigan State, and getting a lot of other players, are like the Browns. I don't think are not going to pick. Let me get the elephant in the room. The Browns are either going to pick. Let me rephrase that. The Browns are either going to pick Shedeur Sanders today, or sign him on the practice team, because we've seen the Browns have we've seen the Browns have 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 started 5 different quarterbacks. So with the Browns drafting another quarterback in the last round doesn't mean that there might be a opening for Shedeur Sanders, who I don't think will get undrafted. Because the Browns, if I had to give a grade, the Browns deserve A+ for getting the running back from Ohio State, for getting Mason Graham, for getting a bunch of different pieces. And I do think if the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders in the other round for that quarterback, which I don't know how Gafford is going to do for the Browns coming out of Oregon. Because if it was me, like, let me get the elephant out of the room, I would take Shedeur Sanders. Not saying that Gafford's going to be a decent quarterback. He might be a decent quarterback. I think the Browns just drafted him to say this is going to be our GTR. Because when I look at the Browns, they're basically have they basically have Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson in that locker room, and now adding Gofford and adding Mason Graham, adding a bunch of other pieces. Like the Browns still have a football team. The Giants, on the other hand, might make the playoffs with the Drew Carter and and um and with a Drew Carter and Jackson Dirt, because I think the Giants are coming. I think the Giants are starting to make some noise. My Browns are still making some noise. Pittsburgh, y'all don't have a quarterback, so let me get the elephant out of the room. The Pittsburgh Steelers, y'all don't have a quarterback, so I don't know if y'all are waiting for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if y'all are waiting for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what Pittsburgh did get a good pick. Pittsburgh did get a good pick. They did draft a defense guy, but Pittsburgh didn't draft a quarterback. But the Steelers are still going to be a good team going forward. The Browns are going to be a good team going forward. The Giants are going to be a good team going forward. The Jets look like they just got better. The Bengals got better in the draft. The Chiefs are still going to be the Chiefs at the end of the day. But guys, sub if you're new, and I hope all of you guys are safe out there. And stay blessed, everybody, and peace. You would have to say, you would have to say that the Browns made a lot of picks. They got Quinn from Ohio State, a champion who won a national championship in Ohio State. The Browns has made, let me say this. My Browns have made a lot of good picks so far. But let me get the elephant out of the room. If I was the Browns GM, I would take Shedeur Sanders. And the Browns do have a pick here where they can go and say, okay, let's take a fourth quarterback. Let's take a fourth quarterback here. Because what you're basically saying is that the Steelers The Steelers passed up on Shedeur Sanders. The Bengals, the Packers, the Titans, the Browns passed on them twice. Which getting Mason Graham for the 5th overall pick, I'm okay with that. Drafting the running back from Ohio State, who I'm going to call Clinton from Ohio State, who won a national championship. I'm going to say this. It's that Ohio State, I'm going to say this. I don't know why every team, let me rephrase that, because I know I just talked about Ohio State just a minute ago. I don't know why every team has passed on Shedeur Sanders. He's probably the best draftee right now on every draft board because we've seen the trade between the Browns and Jacksonville for Travis Hunter going to Jacksonville. With Travis Hunter going to Jacksonville, that's going to lead the Jacksonville Jaguars, because now you got a two-way player in Travis Hunter. And the last time we seen a player similar to that was Shedeur Sanders. Because Travis Hunter, he has the Heisman. He played with Shedeur Sanders. He played with Shedeur Sanders. He was coached by a Hall of Famer coach in Shedeur Sanders. He went to Jackson State first, and then transferred to Colorado, and then transferred to Colorado. I would say this. If the Browns got Travis Hunter instead of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I know I'm getting off topic about my Browns here, because this is like this draft has been kind of a interesting draft because we didn't know that Shedeur Sanders would fall all the way down to the 4th round, down to the 7th round. Because when we look at the quarterbacks that are in the NFL right now, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. When we look at that and we say that this draft, when we're going to look back at it, like I said before, Shedeur Sanders is probably the best draftee right now on the draft board. You have to take him. Like we all knew that Cam Ward was going to go number 1 to the Texans, which I think Cam Ward will have an amazing career with the Houston Texans. My thing is about it is How are you? How is this team? Like the Browns has made my Browns has made a lot of picks. Like getting the Ohio State running back, getting um Mason Graham, getting guys on defense. But we drafted a quarterback as well. I think the Shedeur Sanders will get drafted or get on an NFL team. But back to what I have to say about Cam Ward is that Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders were the two hype players talked about. And this draft has been an interesting draft. And we don't know how long it is going to take for like all of these players that got drafted in the first round, second round, third round, and now about to be drafted in the fourth round, in seventh round, and sixth round. When we look at the impact that that next year, when we look at the impact this year that this NFL class is going to bring, you're not going to find another Travis Hunter. You're not going to find another Cam Ward. Shedeur Sanders has to be picked has to be drafted because if he's not drafted in this draft, I don't know what you can say about it because now you're saying Shedeur Sanders wasn't drafted. And if he's drafted, like we seen um his college teammate Travis Hunter go to the Jackson Jaguars. We seen Cam Ward go to the Houston Texans. We seen Adu Carter go to the New York Giants, which the New York Giants, they're coming. They're going to be the New York Giants as a Browns fan. I would never say this. The New York Giants, they're coming. They're going to be the come up team. They're probably going to be the surprising team this season. But I think that the Browns picks and every team's picks, like it's every team so far has made amazing picks to me. But my Browns officially, we're still going to be a playoff team. The Steelers, I really don't know what. Let me get that elephant out of the room. I really don't know what the Steelers are going to do because the Steelers are still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. You drafted Morrow, but I would say Morrow will be probably Morrow's the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Steelers are still waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make his decision. But do you take a Shedeur Sanders over Aaron Rodgers? Would you take a Shedeur Sanders and still have Morrow from Alabama who got drafted to the Steelers? Like the Steelers have made a lot of good picks as well. Because when you look at it, you can say that this draft has been possibly a interesting draft to see. Because we're probably not going to see another Travis Hunter in a draft like this, another Cam Ward in a draft like this, another a Duke Carter in a draft like this. And New York traded up to get Jackson Dart, who I don't know if Jackson Dart will start for New York. I think New York will honestly New York will honestly start. I don't think New York will start Jackson Dart. I think New York will start Russell Wilson or Jameis. But New York adding a Duke Carter and Jackson Dart. The Browns getting Mason Graham, um, Quinn from Ohio State, if I said his name right. I'm sorry if I didn't say your name right. I'm sorry. Quinn, who won a championship with Ohio State in college. Um, like the Browns have done good stuff. The Browns made a good football team. The thing is now, with all of these teams, who is the team to take Shedeur Sanders now that a Cam Ward is off the board? Now that a Duke Carter is off the board? Now that a Travis Hunter is off the board? Who is the next team to either get to draft Shedeur Sanders? Because if you pass up on him, Shedeur Sanders is probably going to have the type of career, and I'm not comparing to what I'm about to say about Shedeur Sanders, because I'm going to cheer. I hope all of these players have good careers. And I'm going to cheer for Shedeur Sanders, whichever team he gets drafted to or any team he signs with. But with all of these teams passing on Shedeur, because now you have a Cam Ward in Tennessee, now you have Travis Hunter in Jacksonville, you have a Duke Carter in New York. All of these players, all of those teams, and all of these players that were in the NFL draft, I hope they have a good career. But most especially, I am hoping that Shedeur Sanders get drafted because you don't want to leave a quarterback. I know this quarterback class, this quarterback this quarterback class, this class is kind of decent with the quarterbacks, but you still got the Shedeur Sanders on the board. And I think when you have to figure that out, some team is going to have to take Shedeur Sanders. Some team is going to have to take him. Because this reminds me of the Draymond Green draft. The Draymond Green, how every team passed on Draymond Green until the second round of the NBA draft. And he remembers every player that got drafted before him. Draymond Green remembers every player that got. Draymond Green in the NBA remembers every player that got drafted before him. And I think Shedeur Sanders will remember when he gets drafted or if he goes undrafted. He's going to remember all the players that passed on him. Because let me give you guys some advice here. Is that let me give you some advice and let me get the elephant out of the room. It's that some people will pass on you because they don't see your greatness. And I don't think that with all of these NFL teams not taking Shedeur Sanders, and now all of these teams that has a Cam Ward, that has a type Cam Ward, a kind of type Travis Hunter, a kind of like type a Drew Carter. All those type of players are taken. All of those type of players are taken. And the only best player on the board right now, in my opinion, is Shedeur Sanders. You're going to have to pick him. But guys, sub if you're new. Guys, never give up your dreams. And I hope all of you guys are safe out there. And stay blessed, everybody. And peace.